funding for Boomerang Backpacks. It is a fairly new program that's in Mary Raber Elementary School right now. It's targeted specifically for elementary age kids who experience hunger. It's a weekend feeding program to where the kids receive a backpack with 4 meals when they leave school on Friday. They bring it back on Monday and we repack it with food for them to receive the next week. The reason why it's elementary age is because there's a stigma with kids in middle school and high school. They don't want their peers to know. They're a little bit ashamed that they might be experiencing hunger-related issues, and so there's a greater participation in the elementary age school. However, last week there were students from Eagle Tech who had made the request that can we generate this program over Eagle Quest or Eagle Tech and help 15 to 18 students who are experiencing hunger in the high school. So there is a need for this program within our county, and we're trying to address it here at Whitley County. We have the Whitley County Consolidated Schools. We have the blessing of the superintendent. She is supportive of this program and would like to see it implemented in the schools. We're confident that we can have the program in 2 of the elementary schools this fall. We're just concerned that can we get it into all 4, and I don't know that that would be feasible without community support in other areas. I understand that you're concerned about economic development, Jim, so I'd like to address that just a little bit. Kids who experience hunger come to school and they're not ready to concentrate or learn, and there are long-term negative effects to hunger-related issues, health-wise and behavioral-wise. And if we can address hunger at the child age and help them have the cognitive reasoning and ability to pay attention to what the teachers are, in later years when they're actually employed by their employers, they'll be a better employer because of their development that they received when they were growing up. We believe that this is a worthwhile program and are asking you for financial support that would sponsor approximately 9 weeks of this program. This is a one-time request. We see that we will, we believe that we'll have funding in future years. We're not wanting to just do this 1 year in all 4 schools. We're at the grassroots age. They've just done 1 year and they've had success, and we believe that we can have success, and we do believe that we'll get community support in future years.
How was it funded this year, past year?
This year it was through a project at First Church of God. We were looking as a church for something we could do in the community, and we had identified this program that other churches had done statewide, and we started researching different ways to do that in different avenues, and we found Boomerang Backpacks. It was established in East Noble schools, and it reaches 25 schools now in Indiana and Ohio. And so we kind of use Boomerang Backpacks model, and they help us order the food. They're a 501c3 organization, and they provide a grant writing team and an accountant and different kinds of things to help us out, but 100% of the funds that are raised go to the food in the program. And so the church fully supported the Mary Raber program this year. We had 125 students, and it was wildly successful. Everything was run by volunteers, the packing and the delivery, and we had schedules made out, and they were completely full within the 2 weeks of asking for volunteers. People just really wanted to help, and we're really excited about it.
I noticed that this strictly covers the Whitley County community schools. What about Whitco and Smith Green?
Whitco currently has a program sponsored by their Methodist church down there, and they're serving under 40 students. Another local church is supplying to Pierceton Elementary. I don't know the numbers there, and currently there is no program of at Cherubusco. However, some of the church communities in Cherubusco are kind of like eyeing us to see, learn more about the program, and perhaps the following year do some implementation there.
You say you have support from the high school, Columbia City High School?
The students approached Boomerang Backpacks and asked, can we sponsor this for the kids in need at Eagle Tech?
But the school, as far as any funding or anything?
No.
That's not?
No. And we've approached those students and told them, yes, we'll help you. And what the nice thing is about the program at Mary Raber, the parents that are familiar with the program, if they have kids in middle school or high school, they have approached the church and asked them, can you supply backpacks for our other children? And they are accommodated. Even though we're not doing a full-blown middle school or high school program, those that are familiar with the program and make that request are receiving the benefits of the program, regardless of age.
So when you've gone to the Whitley County Consolidated Schools and the school leadership, what do they tell you as far as funding is concerned?
No funding. We've not received
Not through
any
the
funding
school.
through the school system.
It's all been
We've received
private.
support as far as please bring the program.
What's the difference
Why would you
between
come to
this and dogs?
county taxpayers in general through the county
Well,
government
no,
rather
what's
than through the
difference
school,
between this or dogs?
since they're both tax supported?
No, I know you didn't. I didn't.
We were encouraged to come here and see if there was a benevolent funding available for this program
By who?
by one of your peers.
Any questions, or,
What are they asking for?
yeah, if you got a dollar figure?
We're asking for $15,000, and again, that would cover 9 weeks of the program at all 4 elementary schools. And that does not include non-foods, that's just specifically food. We'll pick up all the other expenses related to the program.
Was that brought from the commissioner?
Is that the beginning point, the commissioners?
But ultimately, it comes to here.
Yeah,
Ultimately,
I was just looking for a recommendation from the commissioners.
Yeah, I'd like to have their opinion.
So are we recommending that they go in front of the commissioners then?
I'm not.
Well, I just wondered if they did. I don't know if that's,
Just didn't know whether they had or not.
like Jim says, all of them comes back here anyway, so.
okay, what do you think? How should we handle this?
Okay, my honest response is the amount of money that goes from our tax dollars to the schools, which I believe was 70%.
Of every dollar, probably.
Yeah.
76 to 76.
That we, as leaders in the community, need to put pressure on the schools to help support. I think this program's a good program. I think that it's a necessary program, but I think it's a school-related program, and therefore should come from the schools. And if they can't get their attention, maybe we can work on putting some pressure on them to fund this.
My real concern about it is you're one church, and you said the South Whitley, I thought you said South Whitley Methodist, supports that down there. What's to keep them or Chair Busco or other churches to come in, and, you know, if we approve this one, they're gonna come in and want some too.
That's a good question.
And, you know, we're not a foundation, and we're not a philanthropic group, we're a taxing entity that have trouble making ends meet the way it is, and it's just, I agree with Paul, I think it sounds like an excellent program, but the superintendent, he's all for it too, as long as somebody else is paying for it, it sounds like.
We'd like, there are other issues related to this when you're talking about hunger in Whitley County. And from my perspective, I see us as trying to have a bigger umbrella, but we need to begin somewhere. And so we're beginning with Whitley County Consolidated Schools. But the long-term vision for me is to see us address hunger as a whole within the whole county. And the bigger dream for me would be is to have Whitley County support a one day of caring that addresses poverty, hunger-related issues in Whitley County. No person hungry. Whitley County, no person hungry. And it's a rally, it's countywide to generate funding for our food pantries and programs such as this and meal feeding programs to where we all come together. There's one pool of funding, and that pool of funding helps all of these different issues and not just one entity. So I agree with you, Jim, that's a very good and valid question. And the bigger vision is to try to generate funding like that.
Well, speaking for myself, I don't think Whitley County government employees, and we have a committee that works on that kind of thing, would have any argument that they'd be more than happy to help support that. I know we support things like Day of Caring through United Way, that kind of thing, and you know, we have facilities we can offer and long reach. It's just when you look at the funding here and you look at what the schools take of the county tax dollars, it's hard for us to say, here's a little more schools, when, you know, we're not sure and very clear on what it is they spend their money on now. And, I mean, that's just what I feel. I feel like that this is definitely a school-related program, and it's important that we keep those funds with the school and keep county-related expenses with the county. Because we can't start picking up their costs.
Another question, now have you been like to the Whitley County Foundation or any service clubs? You've been to
We've
things?
been to the foundation and talked with them and have an application there. We have an application with United Way. We have an application with my denomination. And so we feel like we are going to get funding, but we're just not going to have enough funding without your help to go to all 4 schools. Not for this school year, and so that's where we're at. That's why we're here.
Oh, these other things like the foundation and United Way, when do they make their decisions?
They'll be making their decision shortly. One of them meets tomorrow. The other one will be meeting people who have applied for funding through May and June, and then we'll be notified if we've received funding. I think in our proposal, we kind of spelled out where we know some funding is. It's just that it's not available to us at this particular time.
This is a complex issue, and this is not to be a hard nose, because I'm not about this, I understand.
Okay, I'm okay.
But when we have people hungry in the community, I wonder, why aren't they at the food bank? Why are they hungry? We got, how many food banks in this county?
You have 10 active functioning food
10 of
banks in this county, and I've taken upon myself to visit 4 of them and communicate to most of them. Your hours vary in food pantry to food pantry. Some of them usually only have a 2-hour window. Some hours of availability are difficult. If you're a daytime worker and a pantry is open in the evening, that's fine, but there's only a few that have, you know, evening times. And when you go, the food sources that you receive are limited. They're not intended to supply you for the whole week. So if your family is really in poverty, you'll find yourself spending a lot of time going to multiple food pantries in the week. If you're an employee and have to do that, and you know that your family's hungry, you might have absenteeism because you're trying to find food sources for your family. So Whitley County Community Foundation just had a report made for them called Put the Money Where the Mouths Are. And it was an analysis of Whitley County on where the hunger-related issues are and how we can better address them. And that report made numerous suggestions, and one of them is to have a stronger food pantry presence in Larwell. Cherubusco has a real good one through the Methodist Church. South Whitley has one. And then perhaps a bigger multi-use food pantry here in the city of Columbia City, to where you have better hours of availability. Some food pantries have vouchers to where you can get more food, but you have to drive to Fort Wayne to get the food to go to the community harvest. Well, if I'm poor, I can't say I have gas in the gas tank for me to drive to Fort Wayne to get more food. You know, so if I stay here in Columbia City, the food source that I get, again, is not enough to tide me over, my family over for a week. So there are rumblings of people who want to better address the food pantry. And yes.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a complex problem because as you go to these food pantries, you see the same people at Busco all over.
But that's one of the reasons
Some of the
why.
same people, yes.
Yeah, and also, you know, what they provide is different. So what this one provides is different than this one.
Yes, it's just a complex problem.
Yes.
It's a real complex problem.
Are you working with federal agencies like the WIC and?
I am just a pastor, and I have 2 churches. And I took this on because we heard about their program, and we'd like to see it in. And as a result of taking that on, and then having dialogue with the community foundation, you know, then the interest in the food pantries, and so all this is just kind of accumulating together and becoming an awareness of the plight of and how difficult it is for people who have food-related issues to receive assistance. And so, and you have people that want to see change for the better in this county.
Community Foundation has funded food pantries.
Yes.
Regularly.
Yes.
I
I guess one of my primary concerns is this is covering a small group. It's not covering what I call countywide in South Whitley and Cherubusco.
Oh, well, you can give us more money and we'll make sure it goes. That's a real issue. I talked with the clergy person down at South Whitley, and he said, you know, in June, he's gonna have to start hitting the pavement to generate funding. And they put in their food, in their backpacks cost from $5 to $7 a backpack, but they're doing, like I said, 40 or less. The way we're doing it or purchasing the food right now, we might not cover as many meals as what they do, and our cost is approximately $350. That's average per backpack per student, which is, I think, very reasonable for 4 meals and a snack. I have not talked with the church that's doing Pierceton to even know what's going on up there. Cherubusco is Noble County, so you're going to get into demographics that you know, funding from one county to the other, and how do you pull the two together, and how do you decide, you know, that's going to take a little bit more thinking about Cherubusco on if you receive even trustee support, how does that work?
How are breakfast funded for the kids who come to school, they eat breakfast? How is that funded?
It's a federal program. The lunch and breakfast is federal. And then there's a summer feeding program at Mary Raver.
Is that also federal?
That's federal.
George, Mr. Chairman, I guess the way I look at this is we're looking at it as a smaller issue of a large issue. Our large issue is we've got to break the cycle. You know, we can't just keep having people come to the food pantries. We need to do what we're doing as far as we did this morning with economic development. We have to bring the jobs into the county, and that's what we're doing as commissioners and council is trying to do the economic development, which would help in the situation that you've got.
Yes. The one thing about this backpack program is every food item that's in there, the child can eat on its own. They do not need a parent to fix or prepare. They do not need to have access to a refrigerator or a stove. It is food for them. There is a program at one of the food pantries, and they call it a backpack program, and it's canned foods and maybe a box of cereal, so it takes the parent to feed it. It's a grocery sack full of food. However, if you have 1 to 5 kids, you only get 1 sack. If you have 6 or more, you can get 2 sacks twice a month. You know, so this program here, this backpack feeding program, is for the kid to keep for themselves, that they can serve themselves. And so we're reaching more, we feel, like that, or at least enhancing the other program at the food pantry.
Okay, we gotta make a decision here to move on. What's your pleasure? It's a tough question, that's up to you.
I think it's a lack of emotion.
It's a bigger problem than what we're talking about.
I guess that it's not, for the lack of emotion, it's not gonna be funded at this time, not saying we can't do something down the road. And keep us posted to how you're getting along.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Are you aware that we did the trailers with Baptist Church?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I know it's fairly new, so.
That just come, didn't it?
Michael?